The combat sports world never sleeps, but every once in a while, a matchup appears that makes even hardcore fight fans stop scrolling and say, wait, this is actually happening? That is exactly what happened after the shocking announcement that Khamzat Chimaev is set to face Dillon Danis at RAF 10 in St. Louis on June 13th.
The craziest news you will hear today. Khamzat Chimaev will have his first wrestling fight in the RAF organization against Dillon Danis on June 13th. Danis is known for his hostility towards Dagestanis and has insulted them with harsh words.
At first glance, it feels unreal. One of the most feared fighters in MMA going against one of the most controversial names in combat sports entertainment. A relentless destroyer versus a professional provocateur.
Is that what you attribute? In the second round, right, he went for a couple of takedowns and looked like he just sort of collapsed on himself. Is that what you attribute that to, maybe the weight cut? And were you impressed with the fact he was able to get himself back into the fight after looking so gassed?
Yeah, listen, he's a tough guy. He's a, he's a fucking savage. So I would expect him not to roll over and quit.
Who built his reputation by smashing elite fighters against someone who built his brand through chaos, trash talk, social media wars, and viral moments. But maybe that is exactly why this fight is suddenly one of the most talked about events in combat sports. Because love him or hate him, Dillon Danis knows how to make people watch. And Khamzat Chimaev, he brings danger every second he competes. So what happens when those two worlds collide? The announcement comes at a fascinating moment in Khamzat's career.
Fortunately, we have no fights here next week, so we can't hang out for another one. Where is the ceiling for you? Where is your limit?
I don't know, but I can fight after 1 hour, maybe. If you give me one fight, if somebody injured, just tell me.
After years of hype, domination, cancellations, injuries, weight cut drama, and endless debates about his true ceiling, Chimaev is still one of the biggest names in MMA.
It's over, Paul. It's over. That is it. 10-0. The hype is real. Khamzat Chimaev remarkably does it again.
Even after his recent loss to Strickland, people are still obsessed with him. Why? Because fighters like Khamzat are rare. He doesn't fight like someone trying to survive. He fights like someone trying to erase his opponent from existence. From the moment he exploded into the UFC, fans treated him like a future champion, a future superstar, maybe even a future all-time great. Every performance felt violent, intense, and unpredictable. But now comes a very different challenge. Not necessarily dangerous in the traditional sense, dangerous in a different way.
And that's the thing, Chimaev. Home right on the Erie lands. Oh!
Because Dillon Danis is not entering this matchup to prove he is the better wrestler. Most people would agree Khamzat has the advantage there. Even online reactions immediately question the competitiveness of the matchup, with many fans calling it one-sided, while others argued RAF simply wanted a huge headline attraction. But Danis has never relied purely on athletic credibility. He relies on attention. He understands modern fight culture better than almost anyone. He knows how to turn interviews into headlines, social media into warfare, and press conferences into viral.
Look at the position he's going to go for a toe hold. There you go.
And it is over. And as advertised, Dillon Danis, a huge threat on the ground, 1-0 in his MMA career as he vanquishes Kyle Walker.
Even people who claim they hate Dillon Danis somehow keep talking about Dillon Danis. And that is power in today's combat sports world. The matchup itself also carries years of tension underneath it. Danis has been calling out Chimaev for a long time, repeatedly mocking his fighting style and claiming he could submit him. Most people laugh those comments off. But now he finally gets his chance. The bigger question is this: does Dillon Danis actually believe he can beat Khamzat Chimaev? Or does he simply understand that sharing a stage with Khamzat instantly puts him back in the center of the combat sports universe?
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, the tap comes by way of a toe hold. Officially, 1 minute, 38 seconds into round number 1. The winner by submission, Dillon Danis.
Because that matters. Danis has always walked the strange line between fighter and internet villain. Some fans think he is brilliant at self-promotion. Others think he wastes his talent. There was a time when many believed he could become a serious MMA contender because of his elite jiu-jitsu background and his connection to Conor McGregor's camp. But over time, the fights became less frequent, while the controversies became more common. Yet somehow he still remains relevant. How? That is the mystery of Dillon Danis. And honestly, that mystery is part of what makes this matchup fascinating. Nobody truly knows what version of Danis will show up. Will he take the fight seriously?
Never seen sit down. Never seen catch your breath, all right?
Will he try to turn the entire build-up into psychological warfare? Will he attempt to get under Khamzat's skin with the same tactics he used against others? Or will Khamzat simply overwhelm him so violently that all the pre-fight noise disappears instantly? Because make no mistake, Chimaev is not the type of athlete who enjoys being embarrassed publicly. We have seen how emotional and intense he becomes during rivalries.
Hey, so what now? Say something! So what now? This is just your
His feud with Strickland recently exploded into chaos involving security and police intervention during fight week. That matters here. Dillon Danis thrives in emotional environments. He wants reactions. He wants headlines. He wants tension. And Khamzat is one of the few fighters in the world who can genuinely bring real intensity into a rivalry. That combination could create absolute madness before the event even begins. Then there is the RAF factor. Many casual fans are suddenly asking the same question. What exactly is RAF, and why are these names joining it? RAF has been aggressively trying to blend wrestling, MMA, star power, and entertainment into one spectacle. Bringing in names like Khamzat Chimaev immediately adds legitimacy and mainstream attention. But this matchup also tells us something important about the direction combat sports is heading.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, the tap comes by way of an armbar officially. 4 minutes, 28 seconds. Round number 1, the winner by submission, Dillon Danis.
The lines between wrestling, MMA, grappling, boxing, influencer fighting, and entertainment are disappearing. 10 years ago, a matchup like this might have sounded ridiculous. Today, it feels inevitable. Modern combat sports are no longer just about rankings and belts. They are about personalities, narratives, social media traction, and viral moments. Fighters are becoming entertainers as much as athletes, and no matter what people say publicly, they love the chaos. Why else does a Khamzat versus Danis matchup instantly dominate conversation? Because fans secretly enjoy unpredictability. They enjoy spectacle. They enjoy the possibility that something insane could happen. And with Dillon Danis involved, something insane usually does happen. There is also another layer to this story that people are not talking about enough. Pressure. Who actually carries more pressure here? Most people automatically assume it is Dillon Danis because he is the underdog. But is that really true? Danis already survives controversy. Losing does not necessarily destroy his brand. In some strange way, chaos itself keeps him relevant. But Khamzat has expectations attached to him. Fans expect domination. They expect violence. They expect him to look terrifying.
I mean, you're asking me that because it's incredible. He looks great. He's got an awkward style. He's tough to fight, and another durable, tough guy that has no quitting him.
Anything less immediately becomes a major conversation. That is the burden of being hyped as a monster. And after the emotional aftermath of his recent loss to Strickland, this matchup suddenly becomes very important psychologically. Can he remind the world why people feared him so much? Can he rebuild momentum instantly? Can he avoid distractions and simply impose his style? Or could Dillon Danis somehow turn this entire event into a circus? Because if there is one thing Danis understands, it is how to manipulate attention.
Man, I said this before. I'm the fucking best in the world. I said that already and I said it again. Let's see who gets in here and stops me. Rory, John Jones, any of those bitches, come and get it. Man, the last one was too quick. This one I wanted to beat someone's ass a little bit, so I was starting to let the hands on him and like...
Some fans online are already dismissing the fight entirely, calling it a mismatch and accusing RAF of protecting Chimaev from elite wrestlers. Others see it differently. They believe this is exactly what modern promotions should do, create bizarre, entertaining matchups that attract massive audiences. And honestly, both arguments make sense. Pure wrestling fans may hate the matchup competitively. Casual fans may absolutely love it. That divide perfectly represents modern combat sports. Entertainment versus legitimacy, virality versus sporting purity. And somehow, this fight sits directly in the middle of both worlds. There is also the possibility that this event becomes much bigger than anyone expects if the build-up catches fire online. Imagine the interviews. Imagine the press conference. Imagine Danis attempting to verbally attack Khamzat face-to-face. Can you honestly picture Khamzat quietly smiling through that? Probably not. That tension is exactly why people will tune in, because this does not feel calm. It feels explosive. And sometimes the fights people complain about the loudest become the fights everyone watches anyway. Another fascinating detail is how quickly Khamzat is returning to competition after such an emotional and physically brutal stretch in his career.
It doesn't matter for me. It's more money when people look at me. You have the same share, dog. How many times you lose your fight?
That says something about his mentality. Whether you love or hate Khamzat Chimaev, nobody can question his obsession with competing. Even when controversies surround him, even when critics attack him, even when fans debate whether the hype is fading, he keeps coming back into the spotlight. That kind of mentality is rare. But Dillon Danis also understands survival in a different way. Not survival inside the cage, survival in relevance. And that may be his greatest skill of all. People constantly predict the end of Dillon Danis as a public figure. Yet somehow, he always returns to the conversation. One viral moment, one controversial quote, one unexpected appearance. Suddenly, everyone is talking about him again. Now he has perhaps the biggest opportunity of his career. Sharing a headline with Khamzat Chimaev guarantees attention. But attention can become dangerous when facing someone as intense as Khamzat. So now the combat sports world waits. Will Khamzat steamroll him in dominant fashion and remind everyone why he is still one of the most terrifying names in fighting? Will Dillon Danis shock people by making the match competitive? Will the pre-fight build-up become more entertaining than the actual contest itself? Or will this entire event become another example of how combat sports are evolving into a blend of elite competition and pure spectacle? One thing is certain, people will watch. Even the fans pretending not to care will probably watch. Because this matchup taps directly into the strange energy that defines modern fight culture. Skill, ego, entertainment, chaos, controversy, unpredictability, social media warfare, and the constant possibility of something unforgettable happening. Khamzat Chimaev versus Dillon Danis should not make this much sense. And maybe that is exactly why it does. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.